In today's video, I'm going to show you the top decentralized finance protocols on Solana that you need to know about. Some of these are new and offer the potential for airdrops in the future, and others of these are old from 2021, 2022, but have revamped themselves recently and are growing again. Welcome back to Dynamo DeFi. My name is Patrick. As a reminder, this video is purely informational and educational, and anything in crypto, especially new protocols, are risky, so you should still do your own research before putting any money into any of them. Awesome. Now let's get into the video. To start, why exactly am I talking about Solana? Some of you may be thinking of Solana and associate it with FTX and think, didn't this blockchain get totally hammered? Didn't it collapse? And it was hurt by the collapse of FTX and Alameda because they were major backers. However, when you look at the ecosystem development on Solana recently, I was personally never a big Solana user in the past, but I've been using it pretty heavily recently just because the speed and the low transaction fees allow a lot of applications that are not possible anywhere else. And the point of this video isn't to convince you to go into Solana, but to give you an idea of some of the things that they've been building. For one thing, they're building decentralized physical infrastructure networks. So Render, a network for decentralized GPUs, and Helium, a decentralized telecommunications network. Both of those recently moved over to Solana, and then they have other networks as well, such as a decentralized network for building street maps as well as others. Additionally, there's a whole host of new DeFi projects. So a lot of the DeFi projects from 2021, not all, but a lot of them have kind of collapsed, kind of fallen by the wayside, stopped development, but many new ones have popped up, and those ones offer some really exciting opportunities and yield at the moment. And then finally, one thing that convinced me to take another look at Solana was, some of you might remember they had some issues in the past where on days with extremely high volume, Solana was crashing, going down. Well, they implemented some key changes to the network that solved that issue. So to me, that convinced me that it's time to take another look at Solana. And then the final reason why I decided to look at Solana is Visa recently announced that they're piloting a stablecoin payment project on, you guessed it, Solana, and they did a whole paper they wrote about how Solana could be a good candidate because of its low transaction fees and high throughput. So I figured time to take a look at Solana, and we are going to be looking at Solana DeFi in this video because this is a channel about decentralized finance. And my top projects right now, by the way, all of this is written down on my How to Yield Farm in 2023 page on my Substack, but my top DeFi projects right now that we're going to look at are Jito, which is a fast-growing Solana liquid staking profile, MarginFi, which is a fast-growing lending and liquid staking market. In both of these likely have future airdrops. We have Solana, which is the current incumbent largest Solana liquid staking protocol. They have an incentives program as well. We'll look at Drift Protocol. This is a perpetuals DEX on Solana. And then we'll look at Orca, which is currently the largest DEX on Solana by volume. Generally speaking, largest DEX is a good place for opportunities on any emerging blockchain. And for those of you who don't know what DEX is, decentralized exchange, right? It's an exchange that exists on the blockchain. So basically, users are providing liquidity and users are trading, but there's no middleman holding custody of funds. Sweet. So let's look at all these protocols one by one. First, you have Jito. So Jito is interesting because it has MEV powered staking rewards. MEV stands for maximal extractable value. And the cool thing about this is that MEV is basically a way that miners and validators can normally profit off of pending transactions by including, excluding, or reordering the transactions in any block. Well, what this does on Jito is it allows you as a liquid staker of Solana to actually earn some of that MEV yourself. So you earn 7.43% APY on your SOL simply by staking it in Jito. And one of the other cool things about Jito is that they don't have a token yet. However, they have Jito points. By holding Jito SOL, by using Jito SOL, you are, in fact, accruing these points. And we don't know exactly what these points are. Maybe it's not for an airdrop, but I would guess there's a likely chance that these points have some value in a potential future airdrop. By the way, if you do decide to use Jito, link in the description is an affiliate link. If you want to support the channel, please consider using it because helps support these sorts of videos. The second protocol that we're going to look at is MarginFi. MarginFi is an up-and-coming lending protocol on Solana, and so they have all these different pools that you can deposit: Jito Sol, MSOL, UXD, USDC, BSOL, so on and so forth. And you can see the APY really is nothing to write home about yet. I've talked in a lot of these videos about how, especially in the current market, lending rates really are not very good in crypto. In fact, they're oftentimes worse than what you'd get in like a money market account. So generally not worth it solely for the lending rates. However, there are other reasons why one might use MarginFi. Like Jito, they also have a points program. So they have opportunity to earn points by lending, by borrowing, and by using their liquid staking thing here, which is known as LST. So it's basically uses margin sophisticated validator set combined with leveraging Jito on the back end. And so they can offer slightly elevated yield at 8.27%. And by participating in all these things, you earn MarginFi points, which, like Jito, I think has a strong chance of correlating to a future airdrop. So the way to look at this is not necessarily airdrop qualifying. It's basically deferred yield farming. So you don't know when the token's going to come out. You don't know how much it's going to be worth, but probably they'll do a token at some point. And if you've been using it before then you'll earn some yield on top of what's stated here from the future airdrop. That's how I would view this. That's how I'm using it. And the other thing you could do here, if you really were inclined, is you could deposit SOL, for example, and then you could borrow. You'd have to pay interest, but you could borrow USDC and swap it to SOL if you really wanted to leverage up, or you could keep your SOL here, borrow, and then use those funds somewhere else in crypto. So that's MarginFi. And again, I do also actually have an affiliate link for this, which will be down in the description. Next up, we have Marinade. And so Marinade is currently the leading liquid staking provider on Solana. And you can see the rates are pretty comparable, right? 7.74%. The cool thing about Marinade right now that you might use it is, first, it's older, right? It's older, it's been around for longer, it's more battle tested, which generally speaking, if you have a lower risk tolerance, might be a reason that you'd want to use it. The other reason why you might do it is that they already have an active incentive program because they already have a token. And so for every whole stake, every 100 SOL staked, you earn 100 MNDE. And you can see the rewards are updated daily. I think this has to be daily. I don't actually know, but I think it has to be daily because each MND is like 4 cents or something. So that would be kind of crazy to advertise that if you were earning literally $4 for depositing $2,500. It's got to be daily. Don't quote me on that. I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure that's daily rewards. And that's why the staking rate is a little bit higher, but you earn that and then you can claim it in 75 days. So if you want the guaranteed tokens with a fixed time frame and you want the battle tested protocol, then use Marinade liquid staking. Next protocol is going to be Drift. So Drift is really cool, and maybe you don't even use this to earn yield, but this allows you to trade with leverage on these various tokens. So they have SOL, BTC, ETH, Helium, BNB, XRP, Doge, Matic, Aptos, Optimism, Arbitrum, Render, Sui, and then a couple other meme coins. And so yeah, you can trade with these leveraged, all on chain. Fantastic, right? You don't have to use a centralized exchange, but for those of you who are really into leverage trading or really into longing, really into shorting, you can do that right here from your wallet. And because it's on Solana, it's super fast, and the transaction fees are probably like 1/10 of a cent, if that. And that's Drift protocol. And if you do want to try to earn some yield, they also have their Drift liquidity provider, where you can see here on certain tokens like XRP, Sui, BTC, you're earning yields that are non-trivial, 7%, 1% over a 30-day time frame, which really isn't bad. Keep in mind, you are taking risk as a liquidity provider, right? Because you're market making, so you're basically betting against traders, and if traders have a big win, you have a big loss. But generally speaking, on average, traders don't have a big win. That's just how it works. And then finally, we have Orca. Orca is the largest DEX on Solana right now. For any of these tokens that are involved in these other things, swapping Jito SOL for LST, swapping SOL for LST, swapping USDC for SOL, all these things, this is going to be probably the place that you're going to do it. And you can also provide liquidity here and earn some decent rates. One thing to keep in mind with Orca is by default, if you're in the United States, it will be blocked. So you may have to use a VPN to access it. But if you look here, for example, the current yield on the pools on Orca is actually quite substantial, right? Sol USDC is currently yielding around 91%. Not bad. Not bad at all. And the reason for that is that there's just been a lot of volume recently compared to the liquidity. So these rates are going to fluctuate. Probably it's not going to stay this high forever. Sol's been kind of on a tear the past 24 hours. But in general, you can probably earn higher rates here than you'll be able to earn solely through liquid staking, but you're exposing yourself to the added risk of impermanent loss, either if you pair it with USDC or you pair it with ETH over here. And also note that the liquidity is not that deep here. We're looking at 500K, we're looking at 2 million. So if you're depositing $1,000, great. If you want to deposit $100,000 in these, probably it's going to be a little bit tougher, or else you're going to start to dilute the yield. And what exactly am I doing personally on Solana? I'm keeping it simple. I took my SOL and I deposited it into Jito Sol to earn that 7.43%. It's not as good as some other protocols. However, because Jito is growing so quickly, I really want to accrue those points to hopefully qualify for a future airdrop, which again is really just pre-farming the token. And then I'm taking that Jito Sol and I'm doubling up with it. I'm taking it over to MarginFi and I'm lending it out to accrue even more points on MarginFi. And then the other thing with Jito is that you accrue extra points by actually using Jito Sol in DeFi. So I'm tripling up. I'm earning points on Jito Sol for staking Sol. I'm earning points on MarginFi for lending Jito Sol out. And then I'm earning extra points on Jito for using that Jito Sol in DeFi. And the hope with this, the plan is that probably these points represent some form of pre-farming. And so I'm pre-farming the tokens on these dexes with the idea that at some point this will convert into liquid tokens and will be deferred yield. Again, there's no guarantee, but risk is the price you take for being early. And those are my top DeFi projects on Solana right now. If you want to see more videos like this, be sure to like and subscribe. And until next time, this is Dynamo DeFi.